Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Carlson. I'm a mortgage broker here in Canada, and I just wanted to go over a little bit more on the mortgage deferrals that people are having to do due to COVID-19. Now, most of the lenders that we work with, Scotia, TD, and all the other big five banks, they are hard at work answering phone calls and emails and having clients reach out to them on a massive scale. So if you are having a hard time getting a hold of your bank to discuss mortgage deferrals, it's just going to have to be the way it is for now. They are doing their very best to address as many clients as they can, as quickly as they can. They're not just answering questions about mortgages, but loans, credit cards, business loans, lines of credit, all those things. The banks are fielding like literally thousands of calls per day, per hour, trying to help their customer in this really difficult time during COVID-19, where people have potentially lost income, lost their job, been laid off for who knows how long. So I guess it would be kind of an understatement to say this is a challenging time, but I would encourage everyone to go have a look at my website. I've tried to keep up a COVID-19 mortgage kind of links and information page as much as I can with not just phone numbers, but email addresses, links to forms that you can fill out, just to make the process a bit easier. If it takes hours for you to get through on the phone, maybe have a look at some of the links I have on that page that may be able to help you. If the lender that you're working with isn't on that links page, have a look at their website and look at their FAQ page on COVID-19. Pretty much every bank out there has media on their websites right now to help their clients get through this time and get in touch with them without having to go through the phone lines, because the phone lines just are absolutely jam-packed right now and probably will be for the foreseeable next few weeks until we get a good handle on this. Now I want to address a little bit of misinformation that I've heard some clients getting in touch with me about, and it's a little bit distressing that there's maybe a little bit of miscommunication. One client came to me and said that they were able to get their mortgage deferred by their bank just by actually walking into the local branch, and what they were told was that there's not going to be any extra cost to do that. Well, that isn't entirely the case. The bank may have waived the fee, like sometimes the banks will have a fee to be able to defer these payments, and that's the part that they might be waiving. On the other hand, the interest costs keep on going. That part of things just won't stop. I can almost guarantee that every mortgage lender or bank in the country won't stop the mortgage clock for you. So it's like sitting in a taxi cab at the side of the road. You're not going anywhere, but the clock is still running. So don't kid yourself if you've misunderstood what your bank or your lender told you, that the interest is going to be no higher and you're not going to lose any ground. That's more than likely not the case. That's just based on some of the investigation that I've done on some of the banks out there and the media that they've released and on their websites. There could be banks out there that will actually freeze your interest. I haven't heard any yet. In my research, I haven't revealed any banks that will basically freeze your interest and not charge you any for the foreseeable coming weeks and months while they defer your mortgage. If that's the case, great, awesome. Then the rest of this video was wrong. But for the most part, I think that the interest clock will just keep ticking for people while they're deferring their mortgage payments. So the answer to, is it going to cost extra to defer your mortgage? Yes. Now, further to deferring mortgage payments, not every single client is going to be eligible to defer their mortgage. Now, depending on how much you owe, your credit standing with that bank, who the bank is, what your situation is, whether you have savings or not, whether you're in an industry that is highly affected by this COVID-19, then they're kind of going to be doing these things on a case-by-case basis. It's not going to be just every single person that gets in touch with the bank is going to be getting a deferral. I have heard a little bit of that going on, but for the most part, they're going to be looking at these manually. So on to the costs. The cost for deferring your mortgage, like I said, the interest costs don't stop. You're just gonna have to keep going with those. If you're making property tax payments with your mortgage, probably a good idea to keep up with at least that portion. I'm not even sure if the banks are letting you defer that portion. I think you might be required to be making your property tax side, and they're just deferring the payment and interest on the mortgage only. So I'm just going to run a kind of a bit of an example on, say, a $300,000 mortgage. So let's say mortgage of $300,000. Fictitious client here signed a 5-year term at say 2.99%, and they're 1 year in on that term. So they've got 4 years left to go. So they've got an amortization of 20 years, and the mortgage payment right now today is $1,659.52. Now, the mortgage payments are made up of principal and interest. So every time you make a mortgage payment, you pay off a little bit more of the principal, and then each month the interest goes down a little bit. Well, if you're deferring your mortgage payments, well, that stops. So your mortgage balance isn't going down, and you're not paying the interest. So what happens? Well, let's find out. So the principal and interest payment here for these clients is, like I said, $1,659.52. $742.89 is interest, and $916.63 is principal. So $916.63 goes directly to the principal every month, and then the next month it's a little bit more and a little bit less interest. So at the end of the term, if nothing happened, if say COVID-19 never did happen, that family just kept going with the mortgage, at the end of four more years, at the end of the term, they'll end up owing $253,341.20. So that's what's going to be owing at the end of their 5-year contract. Now, so let's say that family did get a hold of their bank, and the bank said, yes, you can defer some mortgage payments, and they decide that they need to defer at least the next few until this we find out where this COVID-19 is going to take us. So let's say the first payment is due, and they don't make that payment. Well, so if they defer the payment, then that $742.89 actually gets added back to the mortgage. Good odds it's going to happen that way. If you're not paying the interest, it has to go somewhere. It has to get added to the mortgage balance. So at the end of the mortgage deferral, once they've done that first month, instead of owing just $300,000, they owe $300,742.89. So that's the first payment. So the second payment, let's say they need to defer another mortgage payment. So the interest cost on the next payment actually goes up a little bit because you owe a little bit more. So the amount that you have to defer is $744.73. So that's the amount that you're deferring, that part of the interest, and then that gets added to the mortgage. So at the end of the second deferral, that family then owes $301,487.62. So not paying down the principal, and it just keeps rising because the interest gets added on top. So they go into the third month, interest costs are a little bit more. So then at the end of the third month, when they've deferred that one, that one's $302,234.19 is what they owe at the end of the deferral on the third, and then they have to defer another fourth payment, a little bit more interest again, and then at the end of that they owe $302,982.61 at the end of that fourth deferral. So after 4 months, let's say COVID-19's all looked after, the Canadians have done the smart thing and stayed home, and they're back to work. Well, now they're their mortgage has gone up by almost $3,000. So that's really not going to fly when it comes to your contract with your mortgage, your term with the mortgage lender. So more than likely they're going to want to have to address that. It's not real clear yet what the banks and mortgage lenders are going to have to do with these Canadians that have had to defer their mortgage payment. More than likely, they're going to want you to catch up to that, so make up those mortgage payments. So in a perfect world, if the lender lets you go beyond your mortgage term, so if you're up in 4 years, but they extend your term by a few months to make up these extra payments, that's probably going to be the most painless way to do it. So hard to say if every bank's going to do that. Maybe some will and some won't. Just like these deferrals, as many banks and clients are out there, that's how many different ways that they're going to do this. So that's the best way to go about it, is if they're going to extend your term, just make a few extra payments, and then instead of renewing, say in June, you won't renew till September or October. The other way to go about it, a little bit more painful, would be if the bank requires that the client make up the payments by increase in payments. So at the end of 4 months, those clients have actually lost almost $3,000 of ground on their principal. They haven't paid it down, they've actually gone up, so their interest costs are a little bit higher. So in order to catch up, those clients actually, in order to get close to what they would owe at the end of the 5 years, their mortgage payment needs to go from what it was to start with, of $1,659.52 to about $1,810.97. So it goes up by just over $150 per month in that 4-year span. So if a client didn't have those 4 years, this client has, my example, they've got 4 years left to pay, so there's lots of time there. So if a client had perhaps only 2 years to pay, it could go up by $300. So keep mindful of that. If you do need to defer your mortgage payment in favor of feeding your family, that sort of thing, absolutely. Mortgage deferral has to be the way to go. That's just how it is. But if you don't have to, I would recommend you don't. If you do, get off the deferrals as soon as you can. So if your bank has said that they're willing to defer your mortgage payments, no questions asked, for 6 full months, but you're back to work in 2 or 3, shut the deferral off as soon as you can. Get back to making your mortgage payments right away, so that you can minimize the ground that you're losing on your mortgage. So make sure that you're not taking advantage of this more than you really need to, because it is going to end up costing you in the end. Once again, go have a look at my website at the links page, my mortgage resources links page for COVID-19. There's more and more data coming out every few days now from the different mortgage lenders and banks, and as soon as it comes out, I try to put it on the webpage. If there's any lenders out there from the big 5 banks or any other lenders that would like to send me information on your COVID-19 contact information or special tools for your clients, by all means send me an email, and I'll be sure to get up on my website right away. And if you have any specific questions, you're having difficulty and you'd like to have some of my help, I've actually helped quite a few clients I never did the mortgage for, and I'm more than happy to do that. So get in touch with me through my website, which I'll link in the description below, and also just put it right here. And happy to have anybody reach out to me in this time. I'm busy like crazy, but never too busy to answer people's questions and try to be the calming voice in the storm. Stay home, stay safe is by far the best. And thank you to everybody who works in healthcare, who are at the ready for people who are sick and who are unfortunately, tending to people who have really succumbed to this COVID-19. It's not a lot of fun, and we wish you all the best, and please be safe. We're pretty glad that the Canadian government is stepping up and being a beacon on the planet for how governments should be responding to this sort of a crisis. So thank you to Justin Trudeau for being that calm voice in the storm every day. I feel pretty lucky to be Canadian, but especially now in this crisis that we've got good leadership and people doing their best to get us out of this as soon as we can. So like I said, if you like this video, just like and subscribe to the channel. There'll be more information coming out. I really appreciate any interaction with the videos here that I've got. So once again, stay safe. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.